Hello everyone, this is Oliver here. Apparently there were some things I forgot to mention in my previous Yellow Dawgy / the Rail Fan Dawgy video, and I just want to mention those before I forget. Some of these include other situations Yellow and I were in that I forgot to mention. I'm also going to talk about why I find this baby obsession horrifying and downright creepy, and why it's wrong to fetishize children. Let's begin. First of all, over the summer of 2022, Yellow's PC was having issues. His PC kept giving him the infamous blue screen of death, so I would ask him to send me a picture so I could search up the error code. Apparently the hard drive was crapping out, which actually happened to my old computer once, but that's another story. I suggested he move his stuff over to a USB before the computer commits seppuku. That was done, but here's the kicker. He said that I need to stay off my computer while his computer was at the shop. This, once again, is another example of his controlling behavior taking over my frickin' life. He even asked me once if I even got on the computer at all while he didn't have his. I said yes, but I really wanted to lie to him so badly to keep him happy. I admit, I wanted to lie my way out of this. But friends never lie to each other, and even I'm smart enough to know that lying to people is never okay under any circumstances. This never should have happened to begin with, and this is one of the many reasons why I definitely regret spending an extended amount of time with him or even knowing him. He also got on my nerves about what drawing software I use because he'd ask about it constantly. At the time, I used GIMP to make my digital art, previously Fire Alpaca, but that's irrelevant, and he was also picky about me making my pictures slightly blurred at the time. I explained that was because it was supposed to look more like a cartoon screenshot that way. He forced me into using Ibis Paint X, which I still use today. This is the only thing I'm glad he introduced me to, and it's the only thing I thank him for. Having him pick on my art style and critique it without my permission, however, was wrong. I normally don't give critiques on art unless I'm asked to give it or if I have permission to do so. He wanted me to draw pretty much the same things he did. He even wanted me to make his Twitter banner a legit copy of mine's. He picked on me constantly because he wanted it to look almost exactly the same as my banner. I was very upset by this and I became very frustrated. Yes, I traced my own art to satisfy his desire for a somewhat identical banner. I never should have let him take advantage of me, but he also shouldn't have been wanting to steal art in the first place. Heck, he even said I should only be sticking with one program only. What if I'm required to use a different program for different projects? There's no need to force people to do what you want just because you're their friend. Now let's talk about what I learned about child fetishization from Yellow and why what he's doing is not okay. I noticed within months of meeting him that he would talk about babies, specifically Baby Plucky from Tiny Toon Adventures. I actually redrew a Baby Plucky screenshot for him, which I have disowned and no longer have. He would also constantly talk about babies sucking their thumbs. This talk continued when he would talk about his OCs as babies doing the same thing. I never knew how disgusting it was until he first mentioned the pillow humping. Back in March 2022 when he told me this, I was very surprised. He claims it's a habit he has had since he was very young, and he said he's been doing this for at least 10 years. I mean, I've had bad habits when I was a toddler as well, but my parents have taught me how those actions were wrong, and I eventually learned my lesson and stopped. Yellow, however, apparently can't control any sexual desires of his when children and babies are mentioned. This is absolutely disgusting, especially since one time, when I asked him why he'd keep doing that, he explained, and he ended it all with, "I'm such a pedophile." Now, this last phrase is nothing to sneeze at, and it's not something to take lightly. Pedophilia is a serious thing to not only be accused of, but it's also a serious thing to admit to doing or being. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years he comes out as bisexual or pansexual or anything under the sun in terms of LGBT+. Thing is, though, we shouldn't let him be a part of it at all, since he admitted to being a pedophile. Pedophiles do not belong to the LGBT at all. They try to be a part of it, and they try to make the LGBT look bad. I think this is the main reason why the far right calls the LGBT groomers all the time. It's because pedos and maps try to get in, and when I say map, I mean minor attracted persons, and validify this as a sexuality, but no, it's not gonna happen. Pedophilia is not a valid sexuality in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if he originally said he doesn't have a sexual kink for children and babies. He literally recently said and admitted that he's a pedophile. This all kept getting worse as the months went on. He kept asking me to roleplay his babies and draw sketches of babies wearing pacifiers just because he wanted to see what they'd look like. I even asked him to quit it once because of the whole pillow humping ordeal. I knew he'd keep on doing it. I said he needs to stop it, and I actually said to him once that he's, in fact, too old to be obsessed with this stuff. He just didn't care and kept using me as his slave or toy of sorts. It wasn't fun at all, and it's most likely going to take years for me to get over everything and fully recover from it all. Because of all this, I now know who to truly watch out for when it comes to people on the internet. To conclude, I will say this once again. Stop fetishizing minors. It's disgusting, it's wrong, and it can be pretty much illegal. In fact, I once heard of this guy who jacked off in front of a preschool full of children, and he rightfully got caught by authorities. I wouldn't be surprised if Dawgy did the same thing. Okay, I'm not trying to give people ideas. I'm just imagining that he'd probably do that based on what he did to me. At the same time, I really hope he doesn't do that, because obviously it's disgusting and it's also illegal to be doing that in front of children. Once you admit that you're a pedophile, there's no going back. Once a pedo, always a pedo. Yellow, if you just so happen to see this, just know that you did all this to yourself. I didn't tell you to say things like that at all. You just straight up admitted it. This whole behavior revolving around fetishizing children needs to stop now. Pedos like you do not deserve a platform at all. That also goes for people like Matt Walsh and Andrew Tate, for example. I'm not trying to place all three in the same category, but I'm just saying that all three are not good people. That is all I have to say for now. Thank you for watching, or listening at least, and see you in the next one.